Welcome back. It's the podcast, episode 7. It's Thursday, December 3rd. Week 12 in the books, now officially the longest week in NFL history. We are on to week 13, the final week of our regular season. I am your host, Beau Schefty, joined again by the crew, Steve, Brodie, and Smokin Joe.
Yo.
Hey, what's going
What's
on?
up? What's up?
What's going on, guys? Hey, we have a lot to talk about today. The playoffs are upon us. Still so much to be determined. We are going to recap week 12, as Steve was going to hit us with the fastest 3 minutes primetime style. Brodie's going to update the injury report. And then we're going to discuss the playoff picture and conclude with a preview of week 13. So let's get this thing going. Hit him with that recap.
All right, thank you, Beau. I'm starting off with the primetime matchup of the week. Middletown Steel Tits versus the Schmucks. Steel Tits entered this game as the hottest team in the league, riding a 4-game win streak, and the Schmucks are coming off a tough loss last week. This was easily the highest scoring matchup of the week, with the Steel Tits coming away with the win 174.5 to 166.9, thanks to a monster game from Tyreek Hill, who posted 63.9 fantasy points. Another letdown for Alvin Kamara with only 7.2 points. The Schmucks have now lost back-to-back games, have fallen to third in their division, and will play another hot team next week in the Cream Pies. However, a silver lining for them is that they have now overtaken the league lead in overall points and can still clinch that third overall seed with a win next week. Steel Tits will try to clinch the MVP award next week against Team Changgang. Speaking of Team Changgang, they faced off against Jack's Capital, who was still playing for that MVP award. Jack's Capital was a huge favorite in this was a favorite in this matchup by exactly 6 points, but this game was lopsided thanks to huge games from David Montgomery, Deebo Samuel, and A.J. Brown, who all scored over 25 points. Team Changgang dominated this game 161.2 to 113.8. Jack's Capital looks to bounce back next week against Team Brodie. This matchup was just one of multiple upsets this week. And moving on to the biggest upset of the week, Mr. Bungle versus Cavengers, who were a 34-point favorite heading in. Mr. Bungle upsets Cavengers 136.3 to 132. Standout performances by Will Fuller, 37.1 points, while the Cavengers had only one starter, which was the Rams defense, score over 20 points. Back-to-back weeks for the Cavengers scoring less than 135 points. They look to avenge this loss against Team Drubino next week, while Mr. Bungle looks to continue to play spoiler against Crumb Duster. This leads me into another upset between Crumb Duster and Super Saiyan French Fries, who came into this game on a 3-game losing streak, but were heavy favorites to win this matchup by 23 points. Unfortunately, that losing streak did not end. They dropped their 4th straight game by a final score of 123.3 to 113. Crumb Duster now controls their own destiny with the win next week. They will clinch a playoff berth, and French Fries looks to face Line Junk, who is also playing for that 6th seed. Next matchup was between Childish Drubino and Line Junk. This was an even matchup coming in, with Drubino only being a 3-point favorite. Drubino takes this must-win game 175.1 and 143.1. Outstanding performances by Patrick Mahomes and Antonio Gibson, who combined for over 75 points. Drubino will close their season in another must-win game against a trending down Cavengers, and Line Junk will also play their own must-win game against Super Saiyan French Fries in Week 13. And our final matchup of the week was between Cream Pies and Team Brodie. Team Brodie was actually favored in this matchup by 1 point coming in, but they lose 155.2 to 119.1. Cream Pies is able to score over 150 points, even with their wide receiver 2, Tim Patrick, being held to 0 points. They face off next week against the Schmucks and will likely have the newly acquired and activated Austin Eckler in their starting lineup, who scored 23.9 points while on IR. With the loss, Team Brodie has now been officially eliminated from playoff contention. And that's it for Week 12 recap. I will now pass it on to Brodie for the Week 13 injury report. Brodie?
Hello, guys. Once again, it's the weekly Brodie injury report. This week, we start off in Baltimore with Mark Andrews. Baltimore has the Dallas Cowboys Week 13 on a Tuesday night. Right now, Mark Andrews' status is unclear since he just tested positive this previous Saturday. The protocol is usually the NFL requires a player to test twice negative in order to be activated off the COVID list. So as of right now, there is no news coming out of Baltimore. They just played yesterday. So we could hope for something on Friday or Saturday. Now going to Arizona, Kyler Murray is nursing an AC joint sprain in his throwing shoulder. Wednesday, he was limited for practice, but today, Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins practiced both full on Thursday. So that's a great sign for him to be able to play this Sunday against the Rams, which is a really good defense. Chris Carson, Pete Carroll said that Chris Carson was a little bit sore coming out of Monday night's game. He was anxious to see how he's gonna make it through the week, but he sounds like he'll be ready to go for Sunday against the Giants. Chris Carson and Carlos Hyde were both limited in Wednesday's practice. And the analysis of that is that the Seahawks are managing Carson's reps following his return from a 4-game absence due to a mid-foot sprain. And he got out-touched by Carlos Hyde this previous week. But going into Week 13, that trend should be flipped. So expect Carson to get more touches than Hyde coming into the next week.
With Taysom Hill as the quarterback. And
telling me.
I think there's a chance that it kind of stays that way until Drew Brees.
So going to Miami, Myles Gaston is facing the Cincinnati Bengals this week, but he is still not activated from the injury disabled list. He is yet to be added to the 50-man roster. So as of right now, there are no updates on Myles Gaskin. So any Gaskin owners out there, you might have to rely on Matt Breida to fill in for his spot this weekend. And heading to Tennessee, Jonnu Smith, he did not practice Thursday. The analysis on that is Smith also missed Wednesday's practice. So if the tight end is able to take the practice field on Friday, it'll be a good sign for him to play this Sunday against Cleveland Browns. Okay, now moving to Pittsburgh, James Conner is facing the Washington football team this Monday. However, he is still not active from the COVID-19 disabled list. So in that event, Tomlin has not offered any timeline on James Conner's possible return. So expect Benny Snell to get the start. On to New York, Sterling Shepard. He was limited in Thursday's practice. The Giants play Seattle on Sunday. The analysis is for a second consecutive session, the Giants capped Shepard's practice reps, but there's been no indication his current health issue will affect his availability for this Sunday's game. The Friday injury report should clear up his status for this Sunday. Moving to Jacksonville, Shark remained limited at practice on Thursday. The analysis is Shark was unable to practice last week, so back-to-back practices, albeit in limited fashion, have the wideout trending in the right direction as Sunday's game against the Vikings approach. Again, Friday's injury report should show a clearer picture of his status for this Sunday's game. Moving to Kansas City, Clyde Edwards-Helaire did not practice this Thursday. He is it was an undisclosed illness, not an injury, but just some sort of bug. I don't know. That could mean anything, especially during this year. Edwards practiced fully Wednesday, So his status is worth mentioning as Sunday's game against the Broncos approaches. If he is limited at all or out, Le'Veon Bell would be up next for the Chiefs' Week 13 carries. Now heading to Atlanta, we have a few Falcon players on the injury list. Hayden Hurst, tight end, was limited as a non-participant in Thursday's practice, reported by the Falcons website. Considering Hurst opened the week with a limited practice Wednesday, the step back he took in terms of activity on Thursday is somewhat concerning. The Falcons may have been deliberately withholding Hurst from the session as part of a pre-planned maintenance program, but he'll likely need to get back on the field in some capacity Friday to have a realistic shot at suiting up this Sunday against the Saints. If he can't go, then Luke Stalker and Jaden Graham will get the starts at tight end. Moving on to wide receiver for the Falcons, Julio Jones. Julio Jones was a non-participant in Thursday's practice, reported by the Falcons website. The lack of practice activity represents a step back for Jones, who was limited in the team's first Week 13 session a day earlier, which was Wednesday. Since he previously sat out the Falcons' Week 12 win over the Raiders with a strained hamstring, Jones may need to put in a full workout Friday for the team to feel comfortable about his availability for Sunday's game against the Saints. If Jones cannot go this weekend, receivers Calvin Ridley and Russell Gage, alongside a probable Hayden Hurst, would be the top three options for Matt Ryan. Moving along to Calvin Ridley, he was also limited at Thursday's practice. He is nursing a foot and ankle injury. Ridley maintained his activity for a second straight consecutive day, while with Julio Jones sidelined this past Sunday versus the Raiders. Ridley was able to haul in 6 of 9 targets for 50 yards and a touchdown. So expect a heavy volume for Ridley if Jones cannot start. And finally, Todd Gurley, who is nursing a knee injury, did not practice Thursday. As McFadden reported from the Falcons website, Gurley typically has been given 1 day off per week this season. However, Gurley did not practice at all last week before his first absence of the season, and now has been downgraded from a limited session Wednesday to a no activity on Thursday. His listing on Friday's injury report will be telling for his status for Sunday's game against the Saints. Gurley's backup is Brian Hill. And wrapping up, Christian McCaffrey owners out there, he has a Week 13 bye, so don't expect him back. But everyone that expected him to miss Week 12, and he was inactive. The Panthers were heading into their Week 13 bye and knew it was at their team's best interest to protect the all-pro running back. It is a blow for fantasy owners, especially those who aren't locked into a playoff spot, but McCaffrey will likely be back Week 14. He practiced on a limited basis this past week with more time to rest. He should return for the fantasy football playoffs. And that concludes the Brodie injury report for the week.
Hey, thank you, Brodie, man. Got all the info I needed. Looks like Julio Jones probably won't be playing this week. He's that inactive this far in. It's Thursday. Thank you for that. Thank you, Steve. You hit that Week 12 recap. You guys got anything to say about Week 12?
A lot of upsets, a lot of just inexplicable scores, I guess I should say. Huge game by Tyreek Hill. That one stands out the most. But other than that,
63.9 points. That's the highest total point for a single player this year. and I can't quite recall, but it was probably 7 years since the last time a player scored that high. One thing that stood out for me, that has stood out actually, that I kind of want to touch on real quick, is should we be worried about Alvin Kamara? I mean, one reception in the last 2 games. You know, he 7.2 points last week. It just seems as if Taysom Hill, when Taysom Hill took that quarterback spot, it just hasn't been in favor of Alvin Kamara. What do you guys think?
I'm not too concerned about Kamara's production. To be honest, the last 2 games were pretty much out of hand. The game was pretty much decided. So there was no reason to keep putting him out there. That's the reason that Murray was getting so many carries, and they were just running the ball with him, trying to just run out the clock, I guess, you know. I mean, the Broncos are playing a receiver at quarterback, man, a practice squad receiver. That guy only completed like 1 pass or so. So they were just – that game was never in doubt. So I think they're just kind of trying to
Just
give him a
load
little bit of
management.
rest. Yeah, but I'm
We
not too
got
concerned.
load management in the NFL now. That's what it seems like.
If there needs to be load management, it would be in the NFL, right? The NBA,
You're not
right?
wrong.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, and I agree with Smokin Joe, just because I mean they got Atlanta coming up next week, and I feel like now that Taysom Hill is going to have his 3rd week in, you know, to get some more reps in, playing against the worst passing defense, or one of the worst passing defenses in the NFL, and that's kind of where Alvin Kamara, even though he's running back, that's where he thrives mostly, is through the passing game. So I feel like he should bounce back this week, or at least have a, you know, definitely more than 7.2 points. You know, but I expect him to bounce back.
Yeah, it'll be Kamara's 3rd week with Hill at quarterback. So hopefully
that's right.
they've built some sort of rapport together in these past 3 weeks. And I know that Hill is not Drew Brees, and you know that shows right off the bat.
He has 4 rushing touchdowns.
Right. But they also did play Denver, like Joe said. If they were ever going to, you know, sandbag it, take the foot off the pedal, it was going to be against the Broncos, especially this week, with playing against a quarterback that barely had any college experience at the position, that had most of his experience in high school. And that's a lot to ask for a practice player to come and just start an NFL game with little to no notice.
Yeah. Another thing I want to touch on real quick is Will Fuller. He is now suspended for 6 games for performance-enhancing drugs. Who do you think the next man up in, you know, Houston is, and what do you think this does to Brandon Cooks, like the value of Cooks? Do you think more targets are going to go on his way?
Oh, absolutely. More targets are going Brandon Cooks' way. I mean, I think what's the Randall Cobb? I believe he got injured, and I don't think he. And then I think what's his name?
Kiki QT.
Well, Kiki Kuti is gonna be the one that benefits, the second benefactor from that. But what was the other guy that came from the Dolphins? Oh, Stills. He's
He
no
was
longer
dropped.
with. Yeah,
he
he's
was
no longer
really
with the Texans. So, yeah, I mean, the targets got to go somewhere. Fuller was getting double-digit targets. He was getting a lot of the passes thrown his way. So, those passes got to go somewhere. So, I mean, obviously, Brandon Cooks is going to get more looks, and Kuti's going to benefit as well, see what he can do.
Yeah, I think it hurts Watson because it takes away a pretty big weapon that he's been taking advantage of this past season. And for defenses, I would suspect that they would try to target Cooks now as the primary option. So as long as they could shut him down, then I don't think the offense might benefit from that.
Well,
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, sorry to cut you off, but yeah, definitely
No,
Brandon Cook's going to get, you know, more targets. And the other guy you guys mentioned, I don't even know his name, Kiki Kuti. Is that his
Kiki
name?
Kuti.
Yeah. He would, and then whoever the tight end is, I don't even know who the tight end is either on that team. He'll probably
Daniel
get some more
Phelps.
targets.
Yeah.
Okay, so he'll probably get some more targets as well. So.
And are we expecting David Johnson back after this week? This will be his third week out, right?
Yeah, he had a concussion, so
he was on IR.
Right. Yeah. So it's a mandatory 3-week injury reserve. So he is possible for being
next week.
Activated.
Okay. All right. So this was the primetime matchup. It was Steel Tits versus Smucks. Big game. I mean, there was no Kyler Murray because the Patriots pretty much shut him down, but Tyreek Hill made up for that more than enough. So lost for Smucks, but big win for Steel Tits on the way to the MVP. So, I mean, I don't think that was the biggest game of the week. There was a bunch of upsets, Chain Gang over Jax and Bungle over Avengers. None that really, shifted anything except for the Crumb Duster victory over Super Saiyan French Fries. Can we talk about that one a little bit real quick?
French Fries just continues to unravel, man. I don't know what the heck is going on. It's not for a lack of talent. He's got players on that team. They just haven't performed well. DeAndre Hopkins has been up and down. Russell Wilson the last month has kind of been up and down. And then you never know what you're going to get from Tyler Lockett, but we know how explosive he can be. So he just had another down week from a lot of his starters. I would question one decision, and that's starting Fulgham, who is coming off 2 weeks in a row scoring 1.8 points in back-to-back weeks, and then this week he doubled that. He scored 3.6 or whatever. I would have put in Duke Johnson just because I know that David Johnson wasn't going to play this week, and Houston was playing against one of the worst passing defenses. And similarly to Alvin Kamara, he thrives mostly on the passing game as well. So, that right there would have been the difference for him. If he would have played Duke Johnson in that matchup, he would have had enough points to win this game. But he went with Fulgham, and, I don't know. I think it cost him. So we'll see what happens next week.
I feel like it cost him, but if you look at it, Fulgham's had 1 point the last 2 games. Before that, Duke Johnson had 5 points and 5 points, right? And then you're looking at that matchup, you're looking at Duke Johnson against Detroit, you're thinking, I don't know, on Thanksgiving, you have to make a decision then and there on that Thursday if you're going to play him or not, So then Fulgham, he's got a good matchup against Seattle. Seattle has the worst passing defense in the NFL. So that looks to me like a juicy matchup, It didn't work out that way, obviously, but you can't – I could see what he was thinking there, why he maybe rolled the dice with Fulgham instead of Duke Johnson.
Yeah, well, for me, in that situation, I would look at the quarterback situation. I cannot trust Carson Wentz with anything. At this point, right? His offensive line is horrendous as well. And and then also I've seen more breakout performances on Thursday night games for some reason. I don't know if it's the short week, defenses don't get enough time to prepare for the offense, but I feel like on Thursday nights we always get like these huge games from anybody. And I mean, Duke Johnson didn't have a huge game at all. I mean, 17 points is not a huge game, but it would have been enough. And I would have gone with that matchup and that quarterback, even though the Eagles had a weak defense, because I just don't trust Carson Wentz in that offensive line.
I mean, when you look at Carson Wentz, as a football player, Carson Wentz looks terrible. But when you just going just by simple fantasy numbers, man, he's still putting up at least decent fantasy numbers. Like he's a bad quarterback, but he's still getting you 200 yards, maybe 2 touchdowns. He's still getting you rushing yards. So that's why I think that maybe you roll the dice with Fulgham in that situation. That's all. Duke Johnson only has 2 double-digit games this year, dude.
Yeah, that's definitely
yeah, but he's also only started
when you're watching
the last 3 weeks. Sorry, go ahead. You cut off a little bit right there.
He was just touching on Wentz. He's still averaging you 20.2 points. So, yeah, he is a trash football player, but I get it.
Yeah.
Both of your
Well, like I
arguments
said,
are
again, for
solid.
me,
Both
it
of your
would have
arguments are
came down to the
solid.
quarterbacks. I just trust Deshaun Watson more than
Yeah, it's kind of hard to, especially now with the Eagles getting almost all their weapons back. You know, during that Fulgham time, there was no Sanders, Jeffrey's back, Rager's back. There's just a lot more weapons now. You would think that they would, West could spread the ball a little better, but it's getting worse in that offense. I mean, even Sanders is questioning. He's not putting up those numbers you would hope he would put up. Any quick final thoughts anymore on Week 12 before I move on?
No.
All right,
Think that's
sweet.
it.
All right, so moving on to the playoff picture segment here. What you see on your screen here is a modified standing sheet. It's a sheet I drew up. For those listening at home, you can look at your screens and track what we will be talking about real quick. I'm going to take about 5 to 7 minutes here just to touch on three things. That is the 3, 4, 5 seeds, the MVP race, and the wild card race. You're probably asking why the 3, 4, 5 seed. Well, the answer is because it's an important part of the playoff picture. The 4 and the 5 seeds will play against each other in the first round. The third seed will play against the wild card, the 6th seed. So when we're looking at the screen here, the only thing here that's established is that Jack's Capital will play in the 4 and 5 matchup. Jack's Capital will he's going to either finish 5th or 4th, and he'll finish 4th if Cream Pies were to beat Schmucks and Jack's Capital were to beat Brodie this week. Jack's Capital will then move up to 4. Schmucks will move down to 5. Regardless, Jack's Capital is in that 4 and 5 seed. So this week's primetime matchup between Cream Pies and Schmucks is pretty much going to determine who will face Jack's Capital, who will play the wild card in the first round. The loser of that primetime matchup is going to play Jack's Capital. The winner is going to move to that 3rd seed and play that wild card, which is still to be determined. The only way that goes different is if Cream Pies is the winner this week, Steel Tits loses, and Cream Pies makes up the 23.5 points that he's behind Steel Tits for that number 1 spot in the East. All that means is that Steel Tits will then be playing the wild card. And Cream Pies moves to that number 1 in the East, and then we'll have a battle for that MVP race. But now that we're talking about that number 1 topic, I want to segue to the MVP race real quick. Now that race, it gets a little more complicated, but not as complicated as the wild card, which we'll get into next. But the MVP is currently in the hands of Steel Tits, and it's hers to lose. She wins this week, and it's hers. The only other 2 teams that can possibly steal it from her, to start, Steel Tits would have to lose this week to Chain Gang. The other 2 teams in this race, Avengers and Cream Pies, would have to win this week. At that point, the MVP will come down to points for with the teams that are tied at 9 and 4. Right now, Steel Tits has a 17.7 lead from Avengers and a 23.5 lead from Cream Pies. So even in that scenario, the MVP still favors Steel Tits. Keep in mind, you win the MVP, you win $120. Let's not forget that. You guys have any questions or comments on the MVP race or the 3, 4, 5?
No, it's pretty clear. Makes sense.
You guys up here clear, Brodie? Mike?
Yep.
Smokin' joke? All right.
Yep.
Oh, my bad. Hey, Steel Tits, she needs to bring it home. The prize is right in front of her. So, Chain Gang, I don't know about him this week. So
Yeah, they beat Jack's Capital, man.
yeah, that's true.
And they put up points, man. It's not going to be an easy win for any of the teams that are going for the MVP race. Even for Avengers, I mean, they got Drubino, who's been, lighting it up as of late, and then Cream Pies has to play against the Schmucks, and they were in first place just last week. So, it's not going to be an easy win for anybody going for that MVP award.
Yeah, definitely not. You gotta like it. You gotta like this battle here. I like it. It's in like I said, it's in Steel Tits' hands and it's hers to lose. So we're gonna move on now to the wild card race, the battle for the 6th 4 teams, 1 spot. Who's going to fill that spot? So right now, we're going to discuss scenarios for each of those 4 teams. We're going to break down what needs to happen for each to win that wild card race. To start real quick, Crumb Duster, it's Crumb Duster's spot, and it's Crumb Duster's spot to lose. He currently holds that 6th seed by record. By record. How to hold on to it is simple. He beats Mr. Bungle this week. That wild card spot is his. If there was an opponent or a schedule like week 13 matchup that it's like a must win for you, and you got a lock. You got Mr. Bungle. That's the matchup you want. No disrespect to any teams, but that is the matchup you want. So if he wins, he's in. All right. If he were to lose, there's only one other. There's still a way. There's still another way for Crumb Duster here to get in. If he were to lose, he's going to need a lot of help. He's going to need Avengers to beat Trubino and Line Junk to beat French Fries. It will then come down to points between Crumb Duster and Line Junk, which will both be tied with 6 and 7 records. Currently, Line Junk has a 26-point lead on Crumb Duster, so obviously he would have to make up those points in week 13. The point differential between Crumb Duster, Drubino, and French Fries, it's too great to overcome in 1 week. So to keep it simple, he wins, he's in, he loses, it's a long shot. You guys got anything? How is he still winning or no?
That's what I was going to touch on. I mean, it just I'm looking at the points right now. He's got the lowest amount of points in the league, and he's got a legitimate chance to make the 6th seed, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, like you said, I mean, he's got probably the most favorable matchup. I mean, he wouldn't even be favored in this matchup now that I'm looking at it, but that's definitely the matchup you would want in a must-win game. But I mean, damn, that's crazy to me.
Yeah, Crumb Duster is definitely representing the NFC East here. It's not about the points; it's about the record. He's got Mr. Bungle. Mr. Bungle's got some players out on bye this week, so it's even a taller task for him. So it's Crumb Duster's week to lose, so it's all on him. Just got to play the right players.
I think it's crazy that Line Junk can still get in, dude. And it's not out of this world that it could happen, dude. Crumb Duster loses, Drubino loses, and if Line Junk beats French Fries, they're pretty much in, dude. I don't see Crumb Duster putting up that much points, so Line Junk can sneak into the 6th seed.
Yeah, definitely. Each 4 of these teams have a shot. Some easier than others, and we'll move forward. And before we get into the next 3 teams, I must point out that one scenario needs to take place in order for any other scenario to happen. And that is that Mr. Bungle needs to beat Crumb Duster. All right? So while we are discussing other scenarios, keep in mind Bungle has to beat Crumb Duster. The second easiest route to the wild card finish line goes to Drubino. Drubino currently has more points for than the other 3 teams in this race. What he doesn't have is a favorable matchup in week 13 against Avengers. So what needs to happen? He needs to beat Avengers. Next, to keep it easy, hope Line Junk beats French Fries. Drubino has 131 points on Line Junk, so it would be much easier to go against Line Junk for points 4. He could still get in if French Fries were to beat Line Junk. Drubino has a 6.2 lead on French Fries. Obviously much closer, but favorable. Now, Super Saiyan French Fries, who last week was ahead. Like, he was in control. Now he has fallen out, but he's still in it. Super Saiyan French Fries needs to beat Line Junk this week, then hope Avengers beats Drubino. If that happens, Super Saiyan French Fries has close to guaranteed the wild card. He would then be tied with Crumb Duster at 6 and 7, but French Fries has 151 points on him. If Drubino does beat Avengers, then it, again, will come down to points between those 2, and right now, Drubino is up 6.2 on him, which is not impossible to overcome. Last, real quick, line junk, as Smokin Joe real quick touched on it real quick. There is one. This is one probably the hardest route because he needs a lot of help. To start, line junk needs to beat Super Saiyan French Fries this week. Then he needs some help from Cavengers, and Cavengers needs to take care of Jubino. And obviously, Bungo needs to beat Crumb Duster. He will then be tied with Crumb Duster at 6 and 7, so we'll come down to points. And right now, line junk has a 26-point jump on Crumb Duster, so that favors him. If Jubino were to beat Cavengers, then that's a long shot because Jubino has 131 points on line junk, and that's damn near impossible to make up in 1 week. So I got to break down what I wanted. This race has never been this close, this far. Leave it to 2020. Do you guys have anything you want to add or want to discuss? Another scenario maybe, something I missed?
I think you touched on them. I feel like Jubino probably has, like you said, the easiest route just because they've been trending upward and they're playing against a team that's been going in the opposite direction, even though they have a better record. And then, you can't really trust French Fries, not as of late. They've lost 4 in a row now, and, their players have been a little disappointing. They're going up against Line Junk, who's kind of been trending in the opposite way. They've been going up. So, assuming Crumb Duster loses, I feel like Jubino has a more favorable matchup, even though he's playing against a better team than the guys behind him. And like you said, they have probably the easier route as far as the two teams that are behind them. So we'll see what happens though.
Yeah, these 3 teams battling for the 6th spot. They're battling for it for a reason. They've lacked holes in their lineup all season, and it's the reason why they find themselves with this do or die situation. And another thing, since so many teams are still in it, it just shows that this league is very competitive. Good managers, pulling the right moves, keeping it interesting. No one's really ran away with the league, so it's good for the owners. Keeps everybody in the game.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy that it's the final week of the season, of the regular season, and there's still a 4-way race here for the 6th seed. Only 3 teams have been technically eliminated, and those 3 teams were eliminated last week. But
last couple of weeks, yeah.
Yeah, we still don't know who the MVP is going to be. This week is going to answer all these questions, and we're excited to look forward. I'm excited for the playoffs. See who's going to play the 3 and who's going to be that wild card. Who's going to be that MVP? It's really going to determine a lot. So.
And, I'll add one more thing, and this is regarding Crumb Duster, is if they get in, they're going to have Christian McCaffrey for the playoffs. And that makes them, pretty dangerous. He single-handedly has won them some games this year. So, if he gets in, don't be fooled by that, having the lowest overall points, because a lot of that was because he didn't have McCaffrey and, among other players as well. So he gets in, he gets McCaffrey back, they're suddenly a threat in the playoffs.
Definitely. Right now, he is. I think you got to update. Mr. Bungles has to update his roster, but it's gonna be a good matchup between those 2. And like I said, it's for him. It's for him to lose now. He gets in, and it hasn't. It's happened before where that 6th seed wins it twice. Wins it. You know what I mean? So was it? Mr. Bungle himself has won it twice from the 6th seed. So that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
If you guys had to pick one scenario, I want each and one of you are going to pick one scenario. What happens? You go first, Steve. Which one happens? Which scenario are those ones that we broke down? Which one happens? Go.
I think the most likely scenario is Crumb Duster loses to Mr. Bungo, and Drubino beats Cavengers in a tight game. And then that kind of eliminates what happens between Super Saiyan French Fries and Lion Junk. And actually, you know what? No, I'll take Lion Junk in that matchup. That way, it solidifies Drubino getting into that 6th seed, regardless of Lion Junk winning. Yeah.
Right. So you got Drubino in that 6. Who do you got, Brodie?
Yes.
Who you got? Who takes that 6?
I'm gonna go with I'm just gonna go with Chrome Duster. With Chrome Duster, I mean, Mr. Bungo has a couple players on bye. He struggled all season. It's a safe pick for me. There's a lot of variables going on with those other teams, and a lot of luck has to go their way for Lion Junk and Super Saiyan. Super Saiyan had it, man, but it just came apart for him in the last weeks.
What do you got, Smokin' Joe?
I'm gonna go with Brodie, man. I think Crumb Duster's in charge of his own fate, and I just don't see Bungo putting up a good enough team to take out Crumb Duster this week. He's got too many injuries, too many bye weeks. He's got a lot to overcome just to have a good competing team this week. And Crumb Duster, although he hasn't been putting up points, he's probably going to put up just enough. Honestly, the first team to score 130 points this week, 120, they might win, so they're probably going to win.
I mean, he's got Derek Carr playing against the Jets, Allen Robinson against Detroit, Myers against the Chargers, Ingram against Seattle. You got some players that can do some damage, and like you guys touched on, Bungo has players on bye. No Mike Evans. Lost Will Fuller. You got to keep in mind, Will Fuller was a big hit. Lost Will Fuller and
I forgot about that. Yeah.
I'm also gonna.
That changes my pick a little bit.
I kind of wanna. I think Crumb Duster gets this victory too, man. He locks it in, and I don't think. And if he were to lose, then I got Drubino. It's really. I think it's really hard for me to just put my money on Lion Junk just because of everything that needs to go down. Which Avengers can beat Drubino. That's not. We're talking about the number 1 team in the West here, but so much. The easiest path here is Crumb Duster, and the easiest opponent here is Bungo. So I'm gonna make that call as well. We'll see. We'll find out.
I'm going with the upset. There was a lot of upsets this week. I anticipate that will continue.
I mean, Bungo did beat Avengers. Bungo did beat Avengers.
That's 2 weeks for Avengers, 130 points, man. 2 straight weeks.
Yeah, I know.
All right, we'll conclude this segment here. Smokin' Joe, you ready to move forward here and start that Week 13 preview?
Yeah, man. Let's get right into it, man. Okay, let's go with the first matchup of the week. We got the Cavengers against Childish Drubino. Like we said, a lot of playoff implications in here. It looks like Cavengers is favored by about 13 points right now, although Drubino still has to put in a kicker in there this week. But it looks like a pretty even, solid matchup. This is a toss-up for me. Could go either way, to be honest. I don't know if you guys want to touch on that matchup real quick.
Julio Jones, I think. Brodie, did you say he didn't practice at all today?
Yeah, he didn't practice.
See, that to me, that's going to be a big – I mean, he didn't have Julio Jones last week either, but you want Julio Jones in this matchup. And what was it? You got – I don't know what's up with James Conner. It doesn't matter. He has Snell. Sanders hasn't played well. Dalvin Cook has been on the – he also has been performing, but Cavengers looks like they're going with Kirk Cousins. They're finally going with Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins gonna take the snaps at Cavenger Antelope Valley there. No more. It looks
They
like
got
Matt Ryan
a
got
favorable
benched.
matchup, and we all saw what the Saints did to Matt Ryan
You
a
know,
couple weeks ago. So
you know what? I don't know why people are sleeping on Kirk Cousins because he was the player of the week this past week. So
there
he
you
did
go.
something right. He did something right. So I mean, I don't have any problem with that. And looking at Matt Ryan, he hasn't been too hot at all. So that's a green light for Cousins.
And what I will say about Drubino is, I mean, Patrick Mahomes can win any game for anybody, and he's been lighting it up lately. Antonio Gibson, my God, that trade, I didn't think it would result in him being a running back or an RB1 for him. Well, no, it was an RB1 for him, but I didn't see Antonio Gibson as an RB1, but he's been playing like one as of late. So that definitely was a huge pickup. And obviously Keenan Allen, been good all year. So it
Just
won't
to
be an
touch on,
easy it won't be an easy game for Avengers or Drubino, but it'll be a close game, I think.
I mean, Gibson has a tough matchup this week. He got the Steelers, so
Yeah.
that
That's
run
true,
defense. Yeah. So I'm leaning on this matchup. I'm leaning towards Avengers. Drubino doesn't have very good matches, but like you said, Mahomes could win any matchup any given week. But I just think overall, Avengers takes this one.
Yeah, I got
All right.
Cavenger too. Next one.
All right, moving on. Crumb Duster versus Mr. Bungle. We've kind of already touched up on this a little bit, but all signs point to Crumb Duster taking this one fairly easy. Like I said, Will Fuller is suspended. Curtis Samuel is on bye week. Mike Evans is on bye week. So that's all three of his top receivers out this week. He's got a backup running back in Jamal Williams in the starting lineup. A struggling Jared Goff. I mean, his best player out there is Zeke, and he hasn't been producing. He got two tight ends in starting, one in his flex, one in the tight end spot. So, I mean, he's going to have to hit the waiver wire and hope some of these guys come back from injury. Hopefully, DeAndre Swift can come back and Galladay can go in there at least, put up some kind of points in there. But, yeah, it looks like Crumb Duster is going to take this one. But you never know. Any given Sunday, guys.
Never know. I got Crumb Duster too.
All right, you guys got anything else to touch on that matchup?
Man, Chrome Duster, Mister does just enough.
The 6 seed, man.
Yeah, after hearing all that from Smokin Jaw, I'm not really confident about Mr. Bongo, but I guess I'll just stay with the pick.
Yeah,
God damn, that's a lot of.
Yeah, he
that's
put
a
it into
lot.
perspective.
That's a lot to overcome. He did. Holy crap, that sucks.
All righty. Well, then let's move on to the next matchup. Let's go with a Line Junk versus Super Saiyan French Fries. Okay, so right now it looks like Super Saiyan is favored by about 8 points. It looks kind of evenly matched up if you look at the matchups here. It could go either way, but I'm going to lean towards Super Saiyan on this one. I mean, Aaron Rodgers has just been on a hot streak. We're still waiting on Russell Wilson to play like Russell Wilson, And Mostert definitely made a comeback and hopefully puts up some more points. I mean, he only put 10.3, but it was good to see him out there, producing for the Niners again. You still got battle receivers, the 3 versus 3. They look pretty evenly matched up. Juju, DeAndre, Landry versus Lockett, and Deontay Johnson versus DJ Chark. We don't know Chark's status yet, but if he plays, you start him. Looks pretty evenly matched up. I don't see any other lineup changes that I would put in there. It looks like that's going to be the lineup for Sunday. You guys got anything to say about this matchup?
I mean, we still don't know like Clyde Edwards-Helaire status and Todd Gurley. They haven't really practiced yet. And then there's the Hurst on the French fry side. Regardless, though, he has Brian Hill to back up Gurley. I like French fries. We can move on.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, next matchup is for the MVP title. If Meadowtown Steel Tits can get this victory, she's got the MVP. But as of now, the line is Team Chain Gang is favored by 9 points.
Tannehill, huh? Why is he got
Tannehill's.
Tannehill?
I mean, I don't know. Kyler Murray's going against that Rams defense, so maybe Murray hasn't been performing.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why you consider benching him. And Tannehill's been sort of putting up numbers so against that Cleveland defense. So that's a toss-up. That's not much of a surprise. Okay, and then Josh Allen, he didn't have a great game, but he still produced last week. He had 17 points against the Chargers. He's going against San Francisco, which is another tough defense. So we'll see how that goes. Nick Chubb, man. Nick Chubb is back. He's been tearing it up, going against Aaron Jones here. And like I said, we don't know Chris Carson's status yet. I'm leaning towards him. Think he will play. David Montgomery finally had a breakout game last week. And then we have the battle of the receivers here. Tyreek Hill, who just went completely insane last week. I mean, just single in that first quarter. That's like 2 weeks worth of receiving stats for some guys, or 3 possibly, you know. Against A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown's not a bum either, man. He's still putting up numbers too. We got Devontae versus Christian Kirk. I think I'll take I don't know. Kirk is going to be the second option against the Rams. They might throw him the ball more since Jalen Ramsey is going to be covering Hopkins. You never know. Marvin Jones versus T. Higgins. Boy, man, T. Higgins took a L when Burrow went down, man. That was his go-to guy, and, you know, I don't even know who the starting quarterback is now for Cincinnati, but
I couldn't know either.
A.J. McCarron.
Karen or something. Yeah, there you
A.J.
go.
McCarron.
but his production definitely is going to take a hit with that, you know. I mean, actually last week he did 15. He got 15 points, 5 catches, 44 yards, and a touchdown. You never know. He could still continue that hot streak. We'll see. Battle of the tight ends. We got Lance Thomas from Washington versus Whaler. Whaler's definitely going to put up points against that horrendous Jets defense. Lance Thomas is a toss-up. I mean, Steel Tits is pretty much plugging in waiver wire tight ends in that position. Last week, I think she put in Disley, got like 0 points, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Flex spots. We got Debo Samuel, who's been lining it up, versus Naheem Hines, who's a PPR machine. So we'll see how that goes. Battle defenses, kickers. I mean, like I said, Chain Gang's got a 8-point. They're favored by 9 points. So I still think this was a toss-up for me. I'm leaning towards the MVP, but I still think Chain Gang could pull it off, man.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Joe. Chain Gang can definitely pull up an upset. Middletown, she's missing some guys. She's starting Thomas and Jones and Hines, and I know she would regularly start Anderson and
Andrews,
right, and Andrews. So, is there a possibility? Of course, there is. And I can see why she's starting Tannehill, because Murray was kind of sketchy last game, and that injury seems also a little suspect. So she might be going with the better quarterback with the better matchup. But, you know, when you have Hill on your team that can, like, just spontaneously put up 60-something points.
In the first quarter.
In the first quarter.
Bananas, man.
You know, nothing's off the table with that team with Hill on it. And Chain Gang, he's got a solid team. It just came together at the wrong time. Too little, too late.
Yeah. I don't even want to it's unfortunate that we gotta call a Chain Gang victory here and upset, you know, because I think Chain Gang's got a solid team, man. Like, it is what it is, though. I'm gonna go with Steel Tits. I think somehow every freaking week it happens, man. So especially as a late. So
that's exactly what I was gonna say. She always gets some random. Tyreek Hill isn't a random production, but in weeks prior, she got guys like Hines and McKissick just randomly putting up big games, you know, and it's been pretty consistent. So she knows what she's doing, you know.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
but I'm gonna go with
the
the MVP. I feel like she wins this and she earns the MVP award.
Yeah, I mean, like the only question here is the Kyler Murray, but if she's making that call, like,
You
damn,
gotta
dude,
trust it.
like,
You gotta trust it.
I mean,
Like,
shit,
You
I can't
can't
argue that, man.
You
you
can't
can't argue
question.
it.
Yeah, you
Exactly.
can't
Yeah.
question these moves, right? It's been working.
Yeah.
Why start questioning it now? We've been questioning her moves before in the past, and it proved all of us wrong.
Yeah,
So
her moves are or lack thereof, like not making any
yeah,
trades. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
exactly.
it's all worked out, and she's
You
got Chris
know
Carson back. It's
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
worked out. It's all worked out.
that house has some good vibes right now. You know,
Hey,
Middletown,
they both may be in the playoffs, man.
yeah,
But still, though,
exactly.
All right,
hey, she made the playoffs last year. Crumb Duster, this will be Crumb Duster's first trip to the playoffs, to the postseason this year. First trip in 3 years. So he's clearly getting some tips over there, because he ain't the fucking leader in that household there.
All right,
Next
moving
matchup,
on.
man.
Next matchup is Jack's Capital versus Team Brodie. This seems to be maybe like an exhibition matchup, because there really doesn't have any implications to any seedings. I mean, it does have implications, but honestly, if Jack's Capital loses, they're gonna stay in their same. If they win, they might still stay in their same seed. There's not really much to talk about in this matchup. I mean, Brodie's got a lot of bye weeks this week, or two bye weeks, and got to plug in some players. I mean, I don't see how Jack's Capital is going to lose this matchup, but you never know. Team Brodie's been the San Francisco 49ers of the NFFL, man. The injury bug bit them early on, and it's just never could recuperate. But hats off for still putting out a competitive team and still competing, though. So we'll see how next season goes for Team Brodie.
You know, this is definitely Steelers versus Ravens right here. Brodie's gonna have to put on some practice players and some third stringers to go up against a starting unit, but it's all good. We'll see. We'll see where the chips land.
Yeah.
Yeah, this really, I think, doesn't shift anything around here. If Jack's Capital wins and Schmucks were to lose to Cream Pies, all that happens is just 4 and 5 swap. But Jack's Capital still in that 4 and 5 matchup, regardless of win or lose here. We can move away from this one onto the next. The prime time, right? Prime time?
The prime time, the matchup of the week, right? This is literally for the number 3 seed, which definitely is important, because if you want to avoid having to play a good team in the first round, you'd rather get the lowest seed. Now it's still in question on who that lowest seed is going to be, the number 6 seed. Like we said, we already ran through all the scenarios, but securing that number 3 seed is pretty vital in this playoffs, especially since you already know you're not going to get the first round bye. You at least want to play the lowest seed, And if Crumb Duster is going to get the number 6 seed, and it all depends. If CMC comes back, then you're looking at it like, damn, man, maybe I didn't want to play Crumb Duster, But if he doesn't get him back, you definitely would rather play Crumb Duster than having to play in that other matchup with Jack's Capital. So we got Cream Pies and the Schmucks here. And right now, it's looking like the Cream Pies are favored by 13 points. I mean, this quarterback matchup, we got Taysom Hill and Cam Newton, man.
You got to love it.
Yeah, man. And we got Derrick Henry, man, who's been unstoppable as of late. And like we said, a little bit of a struggling
got like 2
Alvin. Yeah, we still got a little bit of a struggling Alvin Kamara. We don't know what to expect this week. We'll see. Austin Eckler's projected a high number of points this week. I mean, it's going to be his second game back from injury. He did pretty well last week. Was in there for most of the game, actually. That injury to Kalen Ballage really boosted his playing time. And we got Kenyon Drake, who's playing the Rams this week, though. So that's going to be a tough matchup. He's coming off a 2-touchdown game last week. Now moving on to the receiver matchups. We got Adam Thielen. He should be cleared now, right, from COVID. I don't know if he's going to play or not this weekend against Jacksonville. But
looks like he might.
Yeah, I think he might play, right? Yeah, he's already activated, so he's probably going to play against DK Metcalf. You know, we all know what DK can do. He's playing the Giants. Steelan's playing Jacksonville, so those are pretty good matchups for both receivers. We got Stephon Diggs, who had a quiet game last week against the Chargers, going against another tough defense in San Francisco. And Brandon Cooks only projected 14.9 against the Colts. I mean, the Colts do have a good defense, so we'll see how Brandon Cooks looks out there as the number one receiver in Houston. And we got kind of weird here. We're going with two Buffalo starting receivers, Cole Beasley and Devontae Adams. Like I said, Cole Beasley might outscore Diggs this week. I don't know. He might get a little bit more touches out the slot since Diggs is going to be probably double teamed out there. And then we got Devontae Adams against Philadelphia. Moving on to the tight ends, we got Goddard going against Green Bay, and we got Jonnu Smith against Cleveland. We still don't know Jonnu Smith's status. That could change as well. And Kareem Hunt versus Slayton. Kareem Hunt's going against Tennessee. Slayton against Seattle. Slayton's still questionable. We'll see how that goes. And we got defenses and kickers. We got Carlson and Badgley and Baltimore Chargers. So this is pretty much a toss-up. It could go either way, to be honest. This one really is a toss-up to me. I don't know. What do you guys' thoughts?
The only thing that just kind of strikes me as an awe real quick is the Stephon Diggs and the Cole Beasley 1 and 2 punch he's got lined up here. I mean, I get it. Like, Jamison Crowder hasn't been all that, but he's got a matchup against the Raiders versus those two against the 49ers. Who knows? Maybe, hopefully I'm wrong, whatever. But I think Schmucks, I think Kamara comes back. I think the Schmucks win this one. It's going to be a close one. Kind of eliminates Cream Pies from that MVP race.
Yeah, I'm not gonna hate on Beasley, on starting Beasley. John Brown's out, and Beasley has been the recipient of his targets, and he's made something of it. And he's been throwing up 20-point games, double-digit games. So it's a good play, is considering his option with Crowder, and I'd go with Beasley. Josh Allen has been playing really well this season, and it shows he's been able to support two good wide receivers.
Yeah, and I don't dislike the Beasley matchup just because of how poorly Jamison Crowder has been playing as of late. And but I'm gonna go with the Schmucks on this one just because I think Kamara is gonna bounce back against Atlanta, even with Taysom Hill, not really connecting with him the last few weeks, and then Kareem Hunt's kind of been trending down too, over on the Cream Pie side. So, and who does he got this week? Tennessee. I'm not really sure how good their defense is, but I just feel like Kamara, Metcalf, Cooks are gonna get more targets now, and Devontae. That's just gonna be a lot of firepower for the Schmucks this week, and they got some favorable matchups. So I'm gonna go with them.
All right, guys. I think that concludes all of Week 13 matchups. Turn it back to host.
All right. Thank you, Smokin' Joe. A lot to be determined this week. We'll go around the room real quick. Any final thoughts? We got to head over to – because we do have a special guest here. We have, Kevin Cardenas, commissioner of the Black Mamba League. I know there's at least 6 listeners here that are part of that league. We got the whole number lottery thing going on right now. I'm sure we got to kick over. You got anything to say about that real quick, Kevin?
Yeah, a lot of numbers already have been submitted. I guess I'll just announce here that if I like your message, that means your number is solidified, and that's the number you're going to get. All right. Still waiting on a few others. Still a bunch of numbers, left on the board. But for the most part, everybody's been different, so that's good. It makes it easier on me to assign those numbers. I just got another one come in from Brodie. So yeah, that's going on right now as we speak. It'll close at 9:30. At that point, I'll be assigning whatever numbers are available. And the way I'll be doing it is I'll be going if you have a lower number that's been taken, you'll keep I'll select whatever the lowest number is available for you. If you have a higher number, and vice versa. I don't want to get into too much detail, but that's pretty much how it'll be decided. And then I myself will just take whatever two numbers are left.
All right, sounds good. And when's this lottery again?
So the actual lottery will be on December 12th, which is a Saturday at 7 p.m. You do not have to attend. It will be recorded and posted in the chat along with the results afterwards. All right. Not mandatory to attend, but you will be more than welcome to attend.
All right. Well, as we're coming to an end in football fantasy season here, we look to transition over to the Black Mamba League again. The invitation was put out early in the year. He's still looking to expand that league, so if you're still interested, I'm sure he'll accept your invitation, even if it goes up to 14, 16 teams. This goes out to the rest of you guys listening. Any final thoughts around the room real quick on this week? We kind of all we touched on Battle of the Six, 3, 4, 5, MVP, recap, preview.
It's still anybody's game, man. Whoever gets into that playoff mix, any of those guys, including Crumb Duster, assuming he gets in and gets Christian McCaffrey back, anybody can win it still. So that's why I said a few weeks ago, just get in.
Just get in, and that's what Crumb Duster is looking to do here. Brodie, what you got, man? Final thoughts.
This week, nothing much really to add, but what can we expect for next week? It's the final week of the season, and then playoffs start after that. Are we gonna crown some players, or what are we gonna give some awards?
This week 13 is the final week of the regular season. So next weekend will be the first round of the playoffs. This weekend will solidify who that MVP is, and that MVP will be awarded the $120. I'll also begin to, I got a list that I will shoot out in the chat group of those that were weekly winners. And keep in mind, if you win a week, you won $10. That gets you a 6-pack, maybe even a 12-pack. But there's a couple of us that won it twice, and a couple that won it once, and a couple like schmucks who never won it. But anyway.
Crazy, dude. I could possibly be the highest scorer in the league and not win it one time.
you know what?
Karl Malone.
I don't know if you saw the board earlier, but you technically are 3 yards ahead of Steel Tits in points for. All right?
Yep.
3 yards. That's 0.3 points.
And I could possibly drop all the way to the 5th seed. Crazy.
And you can possibly drop
crazy. Yeah.
Hey, and Crumb Duster's going to be the 6th seed with
the lowest scoring.
That's lowest what it is, man. This is fantasy football. That's what everybody has a shot, Sunday, man. And it makes it entertaining, man. Everybody has a shot. You just got to put your best team out there every week. You got to try to make those moves to improve your team because, hey, it's, Smokin Joe touches on it all the time any given Sunday. That's the reality of this beast, man. Nonetheless, it's fine. It's fun. So I'm enjoying it. It's week 13, and we're still talking about all this stuff. But, yeah, next week will be the first round of the playoffs, and the first round of the constellation bracket will begin. So Brodie and the rest of the gang down there will begin to compete for that first-round draft pick. Looks like it's going to be, Schmucks and Jack's Capital and Cream Pies versus Crumb Duster right now if everything stays the way it is. And Steel Tits and Convergence will get their first round bye. Keep in mind the season, there is no 2-week playoff matchups. These are just 1 week. Winner go home. There is no week 17. Anything else on that, Brodie? You cool with that?
Yeah, everything's good.
All right. So, Smokin Joe, final thoughts?
Nah, pretty much touched on everything. Like I said, it's the last week of the season. Playoff seedings are happening, so we'll get a clear picture for next week's playoff matchups.
Yeah, next week a short podcast. It'll probably just be 2 games to preview, and I guess we'll touch a little bit of the constellation bracket, and just bid farewell to all those that would have been eliminated because 4 going in, 3 are 3 are leaving. 3 are not making it. Those are my final thoughts. Hey, it's been a great season. Next week's playoffs. Last time we talked and we speak regular season talk here. Been a hell of a ride. Thank you all for your hard effort and just every week in and out, just putting out your lineups. I appreciate that. The league appreciates that. I want to do something different real quick. Outside of football, just because I watch a lot of TV and I watch a lot of movies. So just real quick around the room, what are you watching right now? Brodie, what are you watching? Whether it be Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max. I want to get new ideas. Like right now I'm watching The Flight Attendant on HBO Max. Pretty good show, man. I like it. What are you watching?
Damn, I got some shows in the rotation. Right now, I'm actually just really into a Man in the High Castle on Amazon Prime. I've been trying to kill that series. Been watching The Good Place, a comedy on Netflix, and then occasionally I'll watch Orange is the New Black with my girlfriend. But yeah, those are the three shows that I'm keeping track of right now.
I gotta check though. What is it? Castle? What'd you say? What was the first one on Amazon Prime?
Man in the High Castle.
Man in the High Castle. I'll write that down. What you watching, Smokin' Joe? Smokin' Joe?
Yeah,
What
sorry. No, actually, I was actually watching that same show, the Man in the High Castle on Amazon Prime. It's pretty interesting.
Really?
I'm almost done. It's about what would happen if was it the Nazis in Japan won World War II? Yeah,
Oh,
an alternate universe. Yeah, and how USA would be after. Pretty interesting. Yeah, got hooked on. It's pretty good.
What you got over there, Steve? What you watching?
Oh man, honestly, not much. I just
ESPN?
I started pretty much, but even that, not so much because I just started a new job, so I've been kind of busy with that. I will say over the weekend I watched a couple old movies that I used to love. I watched Dewey Cox Walk Hard, which is a comedy. It's like a spin-off of the movie. I forget. It's the guy who plays Jimmy John, or is it Jimmy Cash?
Johnny Cash?
Johnny Cash. Yeah, it's a spin-off of that movie. And it's hilarious though.
Right.
It's called Dewey Cox Walk Hard. Hilarious movie. That's pretty much it. I mean, I don't really watch a lot of shows right now. I know my wife's waiting for The Mandalorian to finish so we can binge watch that. But other than that, I mean, it's not really much for me.
Yeah, same here. There's a you guys get a chance, man. Check out that Flight Attendant. It's with that Kaylee Cuoco, the chick from The Big Bang Theory. It's pretty good. It's on HBO Max.
What's the name of that? What's it called?
The Flight Attendant. It's like a
thriller
drama. Yeah.
Okay.
Thriller drama. It's pretty good. It's entertaining. It's only the first 3 episodes have been released, but it's entertaining. And then I think that Selena series that my wife is trying to watch starts tonight. I'll probably get stuck watching that. We'll see how that is. Hey, man, I want to thank you all again. You guys all we're into December. Happy holidays. Appreciate your time. Stay classy. Stay humble. Good luck to the rest of the league. And we out.
Yes, sir.
Later.
Late.